Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
She's an asshole. So she came out and took a large dump on half of the country.
About being a princess as a woman and meeting a handsome prince, but oh no, these big bad feminists now are telling us that's ridiculous.
Every way that Disney changed the story, it changed it for the worse.
I think this girl does not deserve a feature-length film.
You didn't hire a big-name actress in the lead, right? Nobody knows who the hell Rachel Zegler is.
Something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion. But the reality is she's just not stable.
And Rachel Zegler, being 23 or whatever she is, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for infantada is the only global solution. So the two stars hate each other.
And we're gonna tell the first movie what's wrong with it. Everything is wrong with it. It's such an insult, I think, even to the legacy of Walt Disney.
Now, I'm guessing that she's not married. I'm guessing that she doesn't have kids. The movie is a complete disaster, by the way.
What if one entitled actress tanked a Disney classic? Before the movie even started, Disney's live-action Snow White was built to be a hit. Big budget. Iconic story. Guaranteed cash cow. Instead, it's a train wreck, a fairy tale flipped upside down, all before the opening credits rolled.
It bombed its opening weekend at the box office and is on pace to be the biggest Disney live-action flop that they've ever seen.
Rachel Zegler lit the fuse. This isn't just a flop, it's a fallout. A self-absorbed star hijacking a beloved fairy tale to push her loud, woke agenda. Mocking the original, stirring chaos online. She didn't modernize Snow White, she torched it.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. Super weird. So we didn't do that this time.
She didn't just star in the remake. She made sure it crashed and burned. Let's break down how this once magical movie got dragged straight off the rails.
Snow White gets her name, not from the fairness of her skin, as we obviously know Rachel Zegler would be a miscast in that sense. Instead, she gets her name from surviving a snowstorm. Father and mother are king and queen to a utopian communist society. I'm not joking, guys. Everybody shares and is mindful of what each person is getting, and we spread our resources evenly, which is where this idea of fairness, as Snow White is the fairest of them all, is really presented in the film.
Disney thought they'd found their perfect princess, until the backlash hit like a wrecking ball. Sure, she could sing. Sure, she had that fresh-faced rookie charm. But the second her casting dropped, fans erupted. Snow White should be white, flooded every corner of social media.
And we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Yeah, she had a golden glow. Big deal. This is Disney. Audiences want heart, not ego. But from the start, the red flags were flying. Charm, missing. Humility, nowhere in sight.
They replace the prince with a common criminal. So there is a prince-like figure, but he's no longer a prince, he's a criminal. And she's right, they clearly want to diminish the love story. I think after the backlash from those comments a year and a half ago, whenever they were, they did beef up the love story a little bit, but nevertheless, he plays an ancillary role.
She didn't just take the role. She trashed the legacy that came with it. By 2022, Zegler was doing press while the production was already a money pit. COVID delays, a set fire, millions lost. Most stars would tread carefully. Not her. She went full-blown woke warrior, tearing into the 1937 classic, the film that built Disney's empire.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again.
Fans were livid. Who was she to rip apart their childhood? Her whole vibe screamed entitlement, like she was somehow better than the story she was paid to tell. And she didn't stop there. She kept bragging that the new version ditched the romance for a forced, soulless girl boss rewrite.
Like, I'm being so serious. I watched it once, and then I went on the ride in Disney World, which was called Snow White's Scary Adventures. Doesn't sound like something a little kid would like. Was terrified of it.
Disney fans didn't sign up for a lecture. They wanted the magic back. But her constant shots at a 90-year-old classic lit a firestorm. Hashtag Not Me Snow White exploded across the internet. PR teams were probably sweating bullets, watching the chaos spiral out of control.
It's a bad thing. I'm not agreeing with it. One, because what they're doing is pretty much you're replacing jobs that people could have as little people. Okay. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, it's for dwarfs.
One loud voice flipped the script, and not in a good way. Game of Thrones star Peter Dinklage went off on a podcast. Why is Disney still doing this backward dwarf crap? Boom. Disney panicked, scrapped the Seven Dwarfs, and replaced them with CGI magical creatures. And of course, Zegler had to chime in. Loud, proud, and fully woke. We're moving past stereotypes, she posted, like she just solved world peace.
Snow White starring Rachel Zegler opened to a dismal $43 million, snagging the title of the lowest debut weekend for any Disney live-action remake, beating 2019's Dumbo at $46 million. They beat Dumbo. Shame on you, but it's for the worst ever.
But while Zegler preached her progressive message, actors with dwarfism were livid. They weren't getting fair roles. They were losing real opportunities. One actor vented online, "Peter's rich, we're not. The frustration? Raw, real, loud."
May Trump supporters and Trump himself never know peace. What the F?
Leaked photos of the CGI replacements hit the web, and they were a joke. Glowing blobs that looked like they came from a dollar store clearance rack. Fans couldn't stop laughing. But for many actors, it was a slap in the face. Zegler? She couldn't care less. Too busy striking poses as the self-proclaimed progressive savior. Her smug, I know best attitude only added fuel to the fire. The production was already a disaster. Delays, endless reshoots, millions bleeding out. And now, the fairy tale wasn't just cracked. It was beyond repair. It was rotten.
Disney, you're going to have to redo your film again because this woman is a pig and you fired Gina Carano for far less than this nonsense.
Her going, we need to no, you don't. It's not your job. Your job is to entertain. You are paid to entertain. That's what this is. Also, it's very disturbing.
I was basically the only person in the theater. Very few people wanted to see this. Even the little kids who like Disney movies, even they don't seem to be turning up in droves for the movie because the movie is really
Her reckless mouth quickly became Disney's worst nightmare. Fast forward to 2024, and Snow White was limping toward its March 2025 release. Zegler had every chance to stay quiet and let the storm blow over. But no, she had to keep adding fuel to the fire. Right after the US election, she went full diva. On Instagram, she unloaded on Trump supporters. "May you never know peace," she wrote. "Burnt coffee, wet socks, screw you all." Pure, over-the-top brat energy. And it exploded online like gasoline on a bonfire.
163,000 rating, of which it got 1.6, not out of 5. Like, sometimes you go to McDonald's, it's 1.6 out of 5. Yeah. 1.6 out of 10.
Vinny, you know what that is?
How bad is that?
Rachel Zegler recently filmed herself giggling maniacally like a serial killer when she saw her own name in an empty screening of Snow White.
Megyn Kelly didn't hold back. She dove right in, tearing into Zegler live on air, calling her out in front of millions. "This rude little punk needs to go," Kelly fumed. "Disney, fire her. Now."
Has now decided to turn off replies on Instagram following major backlash over the Snow White movie because she is getting completely roasted.
The clip went viral. Millions watched as Kelly tore Zegler apart. Boycotts exploded on X, with fans vowing to skip the film after her woke meltdown. Zegler tried to backpedal with a teary-eyed apology. "I got emotional. Boobs." But no one was buying it.
So you're not spending a lot of money on the actors. The special effects are trash. Where's the money going? How is it? What are you spending it on?
Not for a second did anyone buy it. One comment summed it up. Her bratty attitude was stinking the entire movie before it even hit theaters. Disney stayed silent, but behind the scenes, the buzz was deafening. They wanted her gone. Problem was, filming was already wrapped. Now, they were stuck with a walking PR disaster, and things were only getting messier. Disney rolled the dice and got completely wrecked. March 21st, 2025 finally came, and Snow White tanked. The trailers were a total snooze fest. The CGI was laughable, and Zegler? Stiff smile, zero charm. No magic. It limped into theaters, raking in just $43 million on opening weekend. with a $200 million plus budget. Epic disaster. Disney had banked on at least $150 million, counting on families and nostalgia. Instead, theaters were dead. No kids in costumes. No excited crowds. Just empty, cold seats. Critics ripped it apart. One called it a woke snooze fest, slamming Zegler's Snow White as a complete flop. Another trashed the CGI dwarfs, saying they looked like rejects from a bargain bin mobile app. Even Gal Gadot couldn't save this disaster.